Welcome to this video. Today, I'm diving into every Nuke Team member and ex-member's history, as well as some honorable mentions. But before that, what is the Nuke Team? Well, in short, the Nuke Team is a building group created in 2014 by Darkfade, Warlord, and vmfso. Throughout the years, this group would evolve and grow, which we'll get into as the video goes on. With that said, let's get started. Darkfade 15. Dark is one of the three founders of Nuke. Together with Warlord and vmfso, he'd create Nuclear, the old name for the team, in 2014. Dark was the owner of the three main maps from Nuke, this being V, Master City, and Oblivion City, as well as one of the Kid PvP maps. During his time on the team, Dark would have to deal with multiple issues, some of these being the loss of Master City in 2019, the Oblivion Shulker crash, which would delete half of the map at the time, and the end of the original Nuke Team in 2022, which would leave Dark as the sole person working on Oblivion City. However, in 2025, Dark would start working with RC in reviving the Nuke Team, which they were able to. Today, Dark still sits as the founder and owner of the Nuke Team. vmfso. vmfso was one of the three founders of Nuke. As mentioned before, he joined Dark and Warlord to create Nuke. Around when V was ending in 2017, vmfso would slowly leave the team, fully exiting in 2017. He joined a few times after, but he would no longer be considered part of the team by then. Warlord 88M88. Warlord was one of the three founders of Nuke, together with Dark and vmfso, and is considered to be one of the original three cornerstones of Nuke. Joining in 2014, he worked on dozens of projects, mostly as a helping hand rather than a designer, as well as working as the tree maker for both Master City and Oblivion City. In 2022, as the team was splitting, Warlord decided to leave, mainly due to the fact that the map was being turned into a Java map. In the following years, Warlord was immortalized in the map with a grave in King Peter's Chapel, and with an area of the map being named after him, this being St. Martin. Although Warlord is no longer part of the team, there are speculations that he'll come back someday. We'll just have to wait and see. Mr. Eds 07. Mr. Eds was the first non-founding member of the Nuke Team. He's considered to be the third original cornerstone of Nuke, the other two being Warlord and Dark. During his time in Nuke, he'd mainly help with builds over designing them. In 2022, Mr. Eds would leave the team for the same reasons as Warlord, but would stay in good terms with the members. Recently, Mr. Eds has been immortalized by a grave in St. Thomas Chapel in Pont Lima. WorldofTanks. WorldofTanks was one of the earliest builders for the Nuke Team. He worked on some of his own projects, but mainly helped others with their own. After the loss of the Master City map in 2019, WorldofTanks would become more and more inactive until mid-2019 when he'd fully leave the group after being pushed away by the team due to multiple controversial takes. One of his builds can still be found in the map to this day, this being the Oblivion City Dutway. MGTSS. MGTS was one of the less active members of the Nuke Team. He joined at around 2015 after being invited by Dark, and he'd help out in a few things but never was too active. While in Oblivion City during 2019 to 2022, he'd create a few builds, including a small business in Master City and a small secret sewer nearby it. In 2022, MGTS would quietly leave the team. However, in September 2025, as the team was being revived, MGTS would come back and would decorate a house. He'd then disappear once again. CalmXX. CalmXX was one of the less active members of Nuke, having joined alongside MGTS in 2015. He'd take part of smaller builds and helping out members on their own projects. During his time in the team, CalmXX would create two of the most well-known businesses in Nuke's history, this being Minériozinhos, the original ore-selling shop, and the pet shop. In 2022, as the team was splitting up, CalmXX would quietly leave the team. However, in September 2025, he'd come back for a few days to build a few things, and then left. NerdGamer. NerdGamer is one of the least known members of Nuke, but one of the most important, as he'd shaped the Nuke Team in the following years, even if by accident. NerdGamer would join in 2017, alongside other less known players like Musculoso. This would then create a chain of contacts that would reach Entity and RC, one of these still being in the team till this day. When it comes to building, Nerd didn't do much. The only remaining build of his in Oblivion City is the Stark House in Master City, this being his last build, as he'd leave the team shortly after and fade into obscurity. RCdaCat. RC would join the Nuke Team in mid-2017 alongside Entity during the chain of invites, after Musculoso would plagiarize one of Dark's bridges in the Trigi. During his early time in the team, RC was mainly a decorator, decorating most of the map's builds, but also dabbled in building, having built some houses in the 2017 Master City map and Oblivion City, as well as the original Red Comp building in Oblivion City. In mid-2021, due to multiple reasons involving misinformation from a third party, RC would leave the team and cut all contact. However, in September 2025, RC would get into contact with Dark via YouTube comments, and the two would start reviving the team. Today, RC is the community manager for Nuke. Entity 364. Camper 364, now known as Entity, would join Nuke in mid to late 2017 after RC had joined. Camper was the owner of the 364 team, a group of players that mainly played GTA 5 and built in Minecraft. However, when RC joined Nuke, he had stopped working with Entity and his team, and so Entity and Dark agreed between themselves to create the Nuclear 364 team. During the year after, Entity and his side of the team would slowly stop playing Minecraft, mainly focusing on other games. Therefore, the 364 title would be removed from the Nuke team by Dark and RC. This would then anger Entity, as he'd have a rant about it in the PS4 voice chat. For this reason, Entity was kicked from Nuke and has been banned from rejoining the team. Pedro98. Pedro98 was a key member in the Nuke team since his first appearance in 2017. He shortly joined Trigi and then moved into Master City alongside the rest of the team. Pedro was a great builder, having built many modern-style builds in Master City. In Oblivion City, Pedro did not disappoint as he built one of the largest companies in the map to this day, NG. At around 2020, Pedro98 would slowly leave the team, joining calls less and less often. No one from the old team knows where he currently is. In 2026, the NG building Pedro had built was demolished, and a new improved one was erected in its place. BlueRiderG. BlueRiderG's one of the most hated members of the Nuke team. He joined the team alongside Pedro98, but would only become active at around 2018. Blue was known for making medieval houses, but he was better known for criticizing others' builds. Even then, Blue was a half member of Nuke, helping around every so often, even making the first Oblivion City bank. Eventually, BlueRider got bored and left the team for good. The whole team would have cheered that day if they knew it was the last time they'd have to interact with Blue. Sure to say, BlueRider is banned from rejoining the team. pedrootavio. pedrootavio joined the Nuke team in early 2019, just before Master City met its end. Pedro was a great builder and military enthusiast, having built JK Company, one of the oldest companies in Oblivion City, and still standing in the Master City industrial area. After 2 years of being the team, pedrootavio would slowly become inactive and end up silently leaving the team. Also, do not confuse this guy with Pedro98, they are two different people, although they are both called Pedro and they are both Brazilian. Aranha59. Aranha59 would join Nuke in early 2019, at the end of the Master City map, alongside DiogoMan, Verissimo and Ferreira. The four would play during the last days of Master City and the first days of Oblivion City. However, DiogoMan and Verissimo decided to leave after a few weeks. Aranha would work on the map mainly as a helper, building whatever was given to him that didn't require many design choices. In 2021, he'd create his company PiglinGold. However, in 2022, Aranha would leave the team during the transfer of the map from Bedrock to Java Edition. In 2025, Aranha would join the Nuke team's Discord server, but wouldn't send a message. AQC. AQC would join in 2020, after the alien invasion event in Oblivion City, after being invited by BlueRider. He would help BlueRider in a small medieval village project east of Master City, but would later create his own projects. In 2022, AQC would stop playing in Oblivion City, as the map was being moved to Java Edition, and AQC didn't have a PC. However, he he did stay in contact and would help here and there until October 2025, when AQC would finally get a PC and would fully rejoin the team. Currently, AQC is a moderator in the Nuke team and has worked in multiple big projects. Also, fun fact, AQC is the only member who does not know how to speak English in the team at the moment. Lator2100. Lator2 would join the team in 2021 after having played the map for a while. He'd help around in projects during his time on the team. Unfortunately, not even a year later, the team would split up due to the move to Java Edition, and Lator2 would leave the team as well. In September of 2025, Lator2 would come back for a few days and would work on a modern building that currently sits in the Sampaio suburbs. N1 Gugash. Gugash is the first new-gen member of Nuke. He joined in September 2025 after being invited by Dark. Gugash has worked on multiple small projects and has created his notorious banner shop in Ally Avenue and basically creating all banners used in the map. Currently, Gugash is not as active as he once was, but still an essential member of the team. Aivy. Aivy, also known as Aivy, also known as Aivy27, also known as St. Patrick's Day, we could be here all day, he has many names. Aivy is the first non-Portuguese speaking member of Nuke. He'd be invited by Dark in October of 2025, after Dark would find his builds on Reddit. During his time on the team, Aivy's mainly worked on the St. Martin area of the Sampaio district, creating multiple buildings inspired on American infrastructure. Today, Aivy is an essential member of the team, but has been lacking on the building due to both procrastination and everyday life reasons. AguaCat. AguaCat would be invited by RC to join Nuke in October 2025. After his application got approved, AguaCat would be allowed to make his test build, and with a final score of 5.5, he'd be allowed to join as a team member in training. However, due to reasons we cannot confirm, but are most likely lack of time and or inspiration, AguaCat would leave the Discord server and consequently the team in late December 2025, therefore resigning his role. He has been the only person to ghost the team in recent years. Flingang. Flingang would join Nuke after being invited by Dark in November 2025. During his in-game build test, he'd show his display entity skills alongside his building expertise, having a very high final score. During his time on the team, he has unfortunately not done much, basically having finished 2 houses in Master City. Currently, Flingang is quite inactive, showing up maybe 4 times per month at most. We hope seeing him be more active in the future. PiglinGold. PiglinGold would join the Nuke Discord server after seeing an ad for it in another Discord. He would try joining with his data pack and decoration skills, doing a decoration test but would be denied. When the Nuke team would start working on the Nuke RP server in mid-December, Piglin would be invited back but would quickly show to be uncommunicative, and players would report joining the server and seeing random stuff added with no info given via the Discord channels. For those reasons, Piglin was demoted and later let go from the team. During the next 8 hours, he'd send messages threatening the security of the team by talking about his no longer active op terms and the progress spreadsheet being public, and would then get banned from rejoining the team after. Raupauk. Raupauk would join the Nuke Discord at around the same time as Piglin. He tried joining as a decorator but would then get denied. However, he offered being a plugin developer in case the map of Oblivion City ever turned into a server. Around a month later, Raupauk would join as a developer and quickly rose up the ranks. Currently, Raupauk is still a part of the Nuke team. He's been developing everything code related in the Nuke RP server, and for that he's been promoted to development manager of the team. Pipoca Pro YT. Pipoca, better known as Gabriel, was a member that was invited into Nuke by Dark Fate in early December 2025. He was seen as a really good builder, having worked on big projects before. During his time on the team, he created large-scale builds like a cathedral, an oil rig, a prison, among others. Unfortunately, Gabriel was found to be plagiarizing builds, and therefore he was let go from the team and will not be allowed to join back. RB27. RB was invited to join by RC in late December of 2025. His test build had mixed reactions, having basically half the votes being really bad and half being really good. Even then, he was allowed to join as a full member. He'd built 2 houses in Master City District, which were below standard and not really listened to criticism. Due to that, RB27 would be kicked from the team less than a day after joining Nuke. Mars. Mars would join the Nuke team in late December 2025, being a new dev for the team. His start would be bumpy, having a few issues with communication with the team, but would end up accustoming himself to the team. Unfortunately, in late January, Mars would have to leave the team due to health complications. Today, Mars still has the non-team helper role, as a sign he'll always be welcome to rejoin the team. ZinkBot. Being one of the least active members in the Discord, the ZinkBot would join in early January of 2026 after being invited by Darkfade. He would pass the test with flying colors, getting a 9.5 out of 10 average. Unfortunately, Zink would only make 1 house in Master City District before disappearing for weeks. Recently, Zink would message the managers saying that due to everyday life reasons, he had been offline for a while and that he'd be back soon. We hope to see him. Shadowdevocoil. Shadowdevocoil, better known as Shadow, is the newest decorator in the Nuke team. He was an active member of the Discord, having been invited by RC in late 2025. In January 26, RC and Dark invited Shadow to be trained by the team, mainly in decoration. During the next month, Shadow would learn how to decorate with RC and AQC. Currently, Shadow is still an essential member and has been promoted to a full member. Melonapple. Melon would join the Nuke Discord in late January 2026, together with Chilling. Melon was already working on a project, and so he'd refused joining the team at first. However, a few days later, Melon would ask to join the Nuke team, and he'd be welcomed in as a modeler, plugin helper, and artist. He would also make a build test which would have mixed votes, but overall it was decided he could help if he'd like. Unfortunately, only a few days later, Melon would be found stealing the map's builds for his own team. He would also be suspected of allegedly griefing the server's plugins by deleting files, faking his way through the entry test, and stealing other builds for his own city. Today, Melon and his team have been removed from the new Discord server and won't be able to come back until the server is on full release. Honourable mentions. Musculoso. Musculoso is a player that would join MederG in 2017. This player would be important to the team as he'd present RC identity to the Nuke team. He was also famous for plagiarizing a build by taking a picture of one of Dark's bridges and calling it his own. Musculoso would keep playing for a few years after moving from map to map. Zumbidofuturo. Zumbidofuturo is known to be the most avid hater of the Nuke team. He'd show up at around 2017, boasting about his medieval builds and skills, saying the team's style had no value. When confronted into making a build worthy of Master City, he'd create one of the map's worst builds, which would then be removed in less than a month. DiogoMan and Verissimo. DiogoMan and Verissimo would join alongside Aranha and Ferreira in 2019. These two players would not help for long, but after the Master City map broke, the Oblivion City map needed some major work. Although DiogoMan and Verissimo weren't major members of the Nuke team, they did help around during the start of Oblivion City, and for that they're on the list. Ferreira. As mentioned before, Ferreira joined alongside DiogoMan, Verissimo and Aranha. He'd helped around just like DiogoMan and Verissimo during the start of Oblivion City, but unlike DiogoMan and Verissimo, Ferreira would stay. Not so much as a builder, but as a player. For a while, he was one of the richest members, owning a stake at Block Supermarket and being the city butcher, selling all meat products in the map. Eventually, Ferreira would leave the map, but he still deserves an honourable mention. HalloCharly. HalloCharly is an external helper for the Nuke team. He joined in September 2025 after being invited by RC, days after the Nuke team's revival. He'd help decorating here and there, but not enough to constitute him as a member. Nowadays, Charlie is still semi-active in the Discord, but hasn't joined the map in over a month. CurrydaCreator. Curry was an applicant for the Nuke team that first joined in November of 2025. He'd be accepted as an applicant in late November, making a test build and failing. He'd be given a 1-month pause before he'd apply again. In January, Curry would join and fail once again. He'd be given another 1 month pause, so I guess we'll see how many times he reapplies. Lolhacker. Lolhacker, also known as Noah, would attempt to join Nuke in late 2025. He passed the entry test with a 5.5 out of 10, meaning he could join either as a trainee or an external helper, with the team choosing the latter. Unfortunately, Noah wouldn't join after the test for unknown reasons. The team has spoken with Noah ever since, but he doesn't seem too interested in joining back. JonoHasMono. JonoHasMono is a content creator and artist which will join Oblivion City in late 2025, being invited by RC. He'd create Jono's art cafe alongside RC, and this cafe would demonstrate some of Jono's art in Minecraft. Since then, Jono has not joined the map, but his cafe is still up and will for the foreseeable future. ceevyte. C would join the Nuke Discord after being invited by PiglinGold a few days after the team chose to set up a server. C would show some of his works here and there, but would end up not joining fully due to a lack of needs for data packs. Currently, due to time zone constrictions and his role in the team, ceevyte is mostly inactive. Suluntulu. Suluntulu is the newest external helper of Nuke, having joined just a few days before the release of this video. He's known as a great noteblock artist and has composed quite a few short tracks. Butcher, selling all meat products in the map. He'd be accepted as an applicant in late November, make his test, build, and fail. He'd be given a 1 month pause before he'd apply again in January. I read that wrong. He'd be accepted as an applicant in late November, making his test, build, and failing. He'd be given a 1 month pause before he'd apply again. In January, Curry would join and fail once again. He'd be given another 1 month pause, so we guess he'd be given another. God damn, what is this fucking thing? He'd be given another 1 month pause, so I guess we'll see how many times he reapplies.